Hey everybody, Jake here with the Brave and the Boys, and today we're doing an overview for Absolute Doomsday Clock. Now, we have covered every edition of Watchmen, and we've covered the complete Doomsday Clock reading order. You can watch those videos here and here. But today we are just doing an overview of what makes the Absolute Edition so special. So for those of you that want to jump ahead and just see the art of the book, there'll be chapter descriptions down below. But we are going to do what we like to do, give you a little bit of context of the storyline and show some of the other editions that Doomsday Clock comes in. And then we'll cut through to a couple of our favorite parts and some of the gorgeous artwork and amazing extras that make the Absolute Edition of this amazing story so special. So I do want to say, if you're buying 1 or 3 books from Organic Price Book, you can use the code Braveboys to save $2. Or if you're buying 4 or more books, you can save 5% using the code Braveboyssit. Let's dive in.
Deep within a bleak and dismal swamp, hidden beneath its murky waters, lies the headquarters of the most sinister villains of all time. The Legion of Doom.
So first up, let's go to some additional reading that might be beneficial. Like I said, we covered this in a really long, extensive video of everything from the Before Watchmen Omnibus all the way up to Doomsday Clock. So you can totally check that video out here. So off the bat, you totally want to read Watchmen. It's an amazing book. It exists in a ton of different formats. If you want to see what formats they exist in, you can check them out here. But they're going to follow up the events in the deluxe edition of Rebirth. So Rebirth kicked off the Rebirth line of DC Comics, and it really sets the seed for all the things behind the scenes that have been going on with the Watchmen characters and how they've been messing with the DC universe. That through line is then picked up in the crossover of the Rebirth Flash and Rebirth Batman in the button, which showcases the famous Watchmen button with the little blood splatter of the comedian. It's really going to set the tone. And again, there are more books that you can include in this line, but again, we cover that in another video. The main point is you want to read Doomsday Clock. So now we're going to talk about what makes Doomsday Clock so special, what it's about, what editions it comes in, and then show you some of that gorgeous art. So next up, guys, we're going to talk about the context of the Doomsday Clock storyline and then walk you through the different editions that it comes in. So Doomsday Clock was supposed to completely revolutionize DC in a post-Rebirth world. The problem, due to a myriad of delays and editorial reviews, and probably Gary Frank not being the fastest artist in the world, but when you see the art, it's amazing, so you're like, okay, take all the time you need, champ. It had less of an overarching impact, and the post-Rebirth and that post-Rebirth line, the books kind of felt like they were treading water. But it's an amazing story that introduces the Watchmen characters into the DC universe. It retcons a lot of things, and it does have some profound changes that are carried on down the line. So we won't get too much into spoilers. We're going to open the book and show you some of our favorite parts and what makes the book so special and show off that amazing Gary Frank art. But let's talk about the different editions. So as always, it originally came out in 12 single issues with some amazing covers. Then it was released as a standard size hardcover in 2 volumes. And what was really cool is they gave you this slipcase for free so you could put your standard size hardcovers. The thing with that is there are no extras other than the cover gallery at the back. Then it was released as a Absolute Edition, gave you a ton of extras, great oversized art, an even bigger slipcase. And then lastly, it was released as a complete collection, again with no extras other than the cover gallery. And yeah, I mean, it's a little cool. It shows you some of the black and white covers on top of the regular color covers. But honestly, if you really like Doomsday Clock and you want some extras, you're like me and you love extras, you're not going to be satisfied with this or this. You definitely want to go with the Absolute Edition. So with that being said, let's bust it open. Let's show off that amazing artwork and a couple moments that make the book so special. So here you can see it compared to the complete collection and the 2-set standard hardcover. It is going to be much larger, have the largest slipcase. You get this awesome cover of Superman flying up against the Doomsday Clock. And here we have Doomsday Clock in all its glory. On the cover of the slipcase, you're going to get Superman flying against the Doomsday Clock. And it is just awesome symbolism of the book. So about this book, it is going to retail at $125 for 424 pages, and it is going to collect Doomsday Clock 1 through 12 by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. Flip it over to its side. We're going to get Doomsday Clock again, Absolute Doomsday Clock, and the DC logo. Nothing on the back. Let's get it out of the slipcase. On the back of it, you're going to see kind of that Superman chest with the iconic blood splatter of Watchmen. On the spine, you're going to get that same Watchmen text saying absolute Doomsday Clock. And on the front, we're going to get that wonderful image again. So we're going to highlight 3 specific moments from this book, but let's flip it open and see what it looks like in the beginning. So it starts off showing kind of like the end of the world. People are protesting, they're rioting. You get that end is nigh sign, and there's this no symbol for Ozymandias. So this is going to pick up directly where Watchmen ended off, where people have found out Ozymandias' plan. It didn't work. The Watchmen world is not happy. Vite Industries is being overrun, and you kind of just get to see the after effects of what's going on. And then what do we see? We see Rorschach. How can that be? We saw what happened to Rorschach in the original comic. He never compromised, even in the face of Armageddon. So who this new Rorschach is one of the wonderful mysteries that you get to solve in this book. And you have him breaking in and saving this new character who goes by the name of Marionette. All the Watchmen characters were based off of Charleston comic characters. Mime and Marionette were based off of Punch and Julie. So here you have Mime, and you have Rorschach breaking them out for a undisclosed reason. And Mime is super cool. He literally just acts like his name. He acts like a mime. Here he is opening his locker to grab his stuff, but it's invisible because he's a mime. So there he is clocking his loaded mime gun. And you get them walking through. Here he is pointing his gun at him. Don't point imaginary guns at me. So they are all just absolutely crazy. And then you can see the return of Ozymandias. And it's just cool how it picks off directly where Watchmen ended off. And you get to see these characters. And the issue is going to end now in DC continuity. You see Superman and Lois sleeping together in bed. And he has this dream of going to prom, and his parents die in a car crash. And then you end with Clark waking up from that nightmare saying, I've never had a nightmare before. So it sets the tone off awesome, and it's picked up on in the next issue. And what's cool is, just like the original Watchmen, you get these in-between moments of newspaper articles or magazines or books to give you further context into the world. So now we're going to jump ahead further in the book, and a lot of this book you kind of just want to read without spoilers, so I recommend just jumping in. But what's cool is you get to see or overhear Dr. Manhattan's monologue to himself as he's observed different continuities of DC and different origin stories, and he changes little things. You can see that he's altering. You get to see that he affected the Justice Society of America, which affected the Justice League, which affected the Legion of Superheroes. So he's been playing God with the DC world. And you get characters like Johnny Thunder from the JSA, but he doesn't have his powers, and he's holding onto this lantern. You get her, who's a Legion of Superhero character, but the Legion doesn't exist. And you find out continuities all out of whack, and you have them searching for Dr. Manhattan. So Ozymandias, the Joker, Comedian, Mime and Marionette, everyone's trying to figure out what's going on. You can see Batman doing some cool stuff. Just straight Batman awesomeness. I love the way Gary Frank draws Batman. Joker craziness. And then, because Dr. Manhattan had affected this lantern, it has residual energy, they were able to summon Dr. Manhattan. So you get to see him appear in the DC universe in all his glory. And I love that the first thing that happens is the Joker is uncomfortable with his nudity. So, hopefully showing that doesn't get me demonetized. And you get to hear, him explain that he's in the middle of something. He's working on something, to not bother him. You get some more origin of Ozymandias, that he might not be telling the truth. And you have Dr. Manhattan saying that as he looks into the future, he sees violence and he sees all this crazy stuff happening, and then everything ends. And, you know, he has to figure out what's going on. He has to let it play out. And let me jump ahead. I don't want to give too many spoilers. But this right here, this is the important panel. He says, I stepped off the floor onto the surface of Mars. And he looks forward and he sees Superman. When he meets Superman, he's yelling at me. His eyes burn with anger as he throws his fist forward. Then I see nothing. A year, a century, a millennium, still nothing. I do not see tomorrow. And I wonder, 1 month from now, does Superman destroy me? Or do I destroy everything? So this sets the tone of this huge climactic moment between Dr. Manhattan and Superman. And it is just, you know, you gotta read for yourself to see what happens. Let's jump ahead to one more moment and then we'll look at the extras. Now we're going to jump ahead to one of the climactic moments. So again, if you want to skip ahead to the extras, everything will be chaptered down below. But you get Dr. Manhattan standing on Mars, holding a Legion of Superhero ring. And you get the entire Justice League, Titans, basically every DC hero, all traveling to Mars to go face Dr. Manhattan. And I love that you get to see this quiet moment, all these heroes, and just all drawn beautifully. And like you got the Doom Patrol, you get like Justice League Dark, you get the Bat Family, and it's just super cool. And you get Dr. Manhattan kind of wondering what's going on. Fast forward a little bit. Now you get them arriving on Mars. And they all start to confront Dr. Manhattan. And I love that it's Guy Gardner throwing the first punch. And you just get to see Dr. Manhattan go up against the entire DC universe, basically. I think we'll leave it here. I want you guys to get a taste of the action. So, I mean, this isn't a crazy action-heavy book. There are amazing action moments. But you have to remember that this book is layered. It's more about symbolism, ideals, what Dr. Manhattan represents, what Watchmen represents to comics, and what Superman represents to comics. So it's a really incredible storyline. Everyone has to read it. And let's jump ahead and go to the extras. So now we're in the extras. Here we're going to get an awesome cover gallery and sketchbook. All the covers of... I mean, I think I probably own almost every cover of Doomsday Clock that they came out with. I was a huge fan of all of it. This was kind of the height of my DC single issue collecting. So I like that we get to see the black and white comic covers. We get to see the colored ones. And I was so excited. Every cover, I was just so excited. And I love the way Gary Frank draws the Joker. Just this Rorschach punching the Joker. That's just the coolest thing. Like, and them on puppet strings. I love that. And then this was probably one of the coolest covers. Just all of DC heroes, you know, being decimated by Dr. Manhattan. This one, a young person dreaming of the Justice Society. Did some cool sketches. You know, there's a lot I didn't touch on this. Here, I think it's cool. You get to see the characters that Mime and Marionette were based off of, Punch and Julie. You see him sketching Batman. And yeah, guys, that's gonna bring this video to a close. Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen this before. It's like a little photograph. The photograph of him with his ex. That's a really neat touch. I had no idea that was in there. But yeah, guys, let's jump into the conclusion. In the words of Dr. Manhattan, nothing ever ends, Adrian, but sadly, we do have to bring this video to a close. So before we wrap up, I want to say thank you so much for watching. It would mean the world if you like, commented, and subscribed. If you smash that like button, comment down below, tell me what edition you're going to pick up Doomsday Clock in. If you do want to pick it up, you should use our sponsor, Organic Price Books. There you can save $2 on 1 to 3 books using the code BRAVEBOYS, or if you're buying 4 or more books, you can use the code Braveboyssit to save 5%. Thank you so much for sticking with this channel. This means the world to both of us. Keep reading and stay brave.